Hi guys, I'm Alex Holmstrom, and this is the Alex at Bat podcast. And we have Jason Holmstrom. When it comes to anything to it, current, athletic, throwback, or current sports news, we will always be at bat. In today's episode, we have a lot to discuss. We'll let Jason Holmstrom start it off.
Well, I guess you had talked about earlier. We were just chatting casually as we were getting ready for dinner about the situation in Denver. I don't know exactly what brought it up, but you were like, Sean Payton's going to turn that franchise around. And I said to that, not that I doubt it, but there's been plenty of coaches that have come in and supposedly were tasked with turning franchises around, one being Mike McCarthy. And kind of look what happened there. Not that they're horrible, but they're certainly not where they thought they would be. And you're like, oh no, Sean Payton's different. And then I found myself, after I kind of dissed McCarthy, I kind of found myself sticking up for McCarthy a little bit against Payton. You say Payton's better. He's going to make it work. I say McCarthy's decent. He still might make it work in Dallas. So your feelings on Sean Payton run pretty deep. So why don't you let us know what you're thinking about him this year as it relates to the Broncos and what you think he's going to do with the Broncos this year as it relates to other teams, particularly McCarthy and the Cowboys.
So, Sean Payton, I feel like he's definitely going to change the culture around. I know he's done it before with the New Orleans Saints. He has a good quarterback. I think he can manage quarterbacks good. I'm not saying Russell Wilson he's not gonna. I wouldn't say Russell Wilson is gonna be like a Drew Brees type of quarterback like Sean Payton had for so many years. But I definitely think he's definitely gonna change the culture. It might even be good enough to at least be a wild card team into the playoffs. With Sean Payton as their head coach. I think that he was the right fit. I think they were looking for, ever since Gary Kubiak retired or, stepped down as a head coach, I feel like they were looking for a head coach like him who can win Super Bowls because, Kubiak, when he won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, and then after that, he went 9-7 and then left the year after that 9-7 season, I think from some heart issue or something like that, and then had to step down as a head coach. And ever since then, they had a hard time finding a head coach to even just bring them to the playoffs, even be a wild card team. So I think that they were looking for all this time like a guy like Sean Payton, who's really feel like he's going to change things around. And for the Denver Broncos, from his press conferences, he's saying what he wants to change for certain positions. So I just feel confident that Sean Payton and that Broncos team is going to do well this year.
I don't really doubt that they are, I guess, and I will concede that Sean Payton is definitely appears to be more of a culture guy, meaning he can come in maybe to a greater degree than, say, Mike McCarthy can and change the culture of the team. I mean, let's face it, nobody's looking to change the culture of the Cowboys because the Cowboy culture is the Jones culture, and that's pretty much set in stone. I think the Broncos are looking for somewhat of an overhaul as far as the feeling in the locker room, the look on the field, and all that. I guess my point is that it takes so much nowadays to actually turn an NFL franchise around. And even if you say Sean Payton is a force of nature, which I don't think anybody's doubting, the guy is, it's going to take more than just that, just him alone to turn things around. I mean, I look at Mike McCarthy and his accomplishments. I mean, you're talking about a guy, he won a Super Bowl. I know Peyton did also, but he won a Super Bowl with the Packers in 2011. He was the coach with the Green Bay Packers from 2006 to 2018. He was one of 5 coaches in the NFL. I mean, we're talking up there with the likes of Tom Landry and some other big names. One of 5, and Andy Reid, actually, one of 5 coaches to lead an NFL team, the same NFL team, to 8 straight playoff appearances. He did that with the Packers. I mean, the guy, you talk about a guy that I don't know if he created the culture, but he certainly is responsible for maintaining that culture there at Green Bay. His win record is something like 155 wins, maybe 70 some losses. Whatever his wins are, it's the second highest in Packers history, which is pretty impressive when you consider the Packers and how far they go back in the annals of NFL history. So the guy is no slouch. He came to the Cowboys with high expectations. Has he lived up to them? I don't think so. I think a lot of people would agree with that, even Mike McCarthy. Do I think Sean Payton is a guaranteed shoe-in, going to come in, turn that culture around? No, I don't. I don't think it's guaranteed. I think he's, a dude with plans, but it's like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until you get hit in the face. So when he kind of gets slapped around this first couple games, let's see if he comes through and pulls his team through. It should be interesting.
Absolutely. And we all know about that division, about how tough it is with the Chiefs, and then, you got the Chargers. I mean, with Justin Herbert. But I think that I think that Broncos team just needs like a little bit of competitiveness, because they have not even they haven't even made the playoffs since the year they won the Super Bowl. So I think the first step for them is to at least just try to be a wild card team. I think that's definitely would be a good first step for the Denver Broncos. At least, have a winning record, get at least maybe like a spot in the playoffs, whether it's just a wild card team. And I think that, that's the start of something that is the start of something new, because, even if they don't win the division, just try to get the wild card spot. But I think that, I feel like that, Russell Wilson, might not be the same quarterback as he was from the year he won that Super Bowl. He's getting older. He's going into year 12. You're not going to expect him to give out that maybe like magic, those big deep balls, he's throwing.
He's getting paid. They're expecting.
Yeah, they're expecting magic, but I don't think they're going to get a lot of magic, just because, his age is catching up to him, and you saw last year about it. But I think that even if he doesn't have that same, play style as he did from his first couple years in the league, I think we'll see a different Russell Wilson, because he has a coach who can manage quarterbacks well. And he's done that with Drew Brees. Like, Drew Brees was amazing when he played for the Saints. And who was his head coach? Sean Payton.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue the same about McCarthy too, and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, and you look at Mike McCarthy's kind of trajectory. He was actually a quarterback coach for the Chiefs and for the Packers prior to being offensive coordinator for the Packers. And then also, actually, I believe he was an offensive coordinator for the Saints too. Like, he's been around. Like, on the offensive side of the ball, he's been around. Particularly with the quarterback position, he's been around. I'm a little surprised he didn't get, Dak Prescott, back on track a little bit more. But I don't know. I mean, he's another guy that he's getting past the point where I don't know if he can bring it around and not throw picks or come through in big games. He still has to prove his mettle, that's for sure. But like I said, I mean, we'll say that the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. We'll see what happens next season between those guys. It'll be interesting. Do the Saints and the Packers meet up in any games? Will we see a head-to-head matchup of these two guys?
Packers, and also the Broncos and the Packers too.
That's what I meant. Yeah,
Broncos and the Packers, they face each other too. It's actually at the Broncos home field this year. So that'll definitely be a fun matchup. And, I know it's not official yet if Aaron Rodgers is going to join the Jets, but, they said it was official. Now they're saying it's not. We don't it's been completely silent at this point now. Like, it's completely dead. Everyone's talking about just other different things, like the free agency moves. They're not even bringing that up. I know the Jets obviously want him, but it depends on. They just got to wait for the Packers to officially make it official, because everyone thought it was official, and it's clearly not.
Speaking of offseason